What is going on, moms and dads? Welcome to episode 151 of the Fade You podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 28th, 2022, and we are here to preview NFL Week 4 already. I don't know how that happened, but here we are in Week 4 starting tomorrow with the Thursday game. My name is Matthew James, at Matthew James 78 on Twitter, and I'm joined on the pod by a bunch of dads tonight, and we should get Neil here in a little bit. So he'll be joining late. But I do have Chris Duke, Hazmat Suit 23 on Twitter. Chris, how are you spending your last day here on Earth?
I have to stop no booze 12 hours before surgery. So that's soon. So Daddy's got his last little schwab for a while. And just glad I get to pod with the dads and see your beautiful faces before I get
one last time.
Before I go under and get blagged for an hour.
Joe, imagine being the doctor that has to tell Chris Duke no alcohol.
Yeah, the doctor probably doesn't give a shit, but I doubt Chris does either. So,
oh man, he's at Joe_knows___ on Twitter. Dad, the orange Jameson. I love the hat. Big fan of that one, and that's good shit for people who haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, Jameson Orange, quality product. Definitely go give it a go, but not when Dennis is going 6-0. But did drink a shitload of it on Friday at a wedding. I was part of the wedding party, walked into the party holding a bottle of Jameson Orange, and then took a shot in front of the whole wedding party, or the whole wedding. So it was pretty fun.
Beautiful. Well done. Kmart's joining us. Kmart's_angles on Twitter. Kmart 5-0 last week. You guys are back.
We're back for now until we go 1-4 this week. So trying to keep the momentum. Happy I took out Niners for the Packers. To get that 5-0 because that would have just made me feel even worse on Sunday night. Is going 4-1 again and missing the 5-0 because I'm a homer idiot.
Is that not Exhibit A of why you don't bet a homer? Don't bet with your heart.
Well, it's exactly what I said on this pod a week ago. I got the Niners initially at +2.5, and the contest line was -1.5, and I didn't know if I could play it. But I just was like, don't second guess it. And then Saturday morning, I called Neil, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? I'm taking Niners out for Pack. And he's like, do it. So, end of day.
And the Niners played just a beautiful game.
It's beautiful. Defensively again, beautiful. Yeah. Offensively again, just
Shanahan outcoached by Hackett. Just a classic Sunday night game.
Did Garoppolo actually mouth your plays are shit? Like, didn't it look like that during the game? Like, all your plays are shit?
I don't know.
I've not seen that.
I thought he said he couldn't hear shit.
He was talking to himself. He played like shit.
Okay. I just remember seeing that. I'm like, what's going on here?
Well, that is the Jimmy Garoppolo experience for Niners fans who forgot what that was like. And now no one wants him this week. Everybody has sold him. So more on that later. So, all right, contest recap. So we're 3 weeks in. Chris, you finished not too far out of first place for that first 3-week contest. I think there's a few assholes at 14-1, but you guys are within striking distance at 12-3. That's a great start for you and the Murse. Nice work, Dad. I'm sitting at 11-4. Joe, you and Jared 9-6. Is that correct? And then off the 5-0, Kmart and Neil are back at 8-7. So, I mean, there's nothing more demoralizing than being like several games under 500. Only 3 weeks in. So, hey, anything over 50%, you can go on a run, get hot. So, okay. Week 4. By the way, make sure you're following on Twitter at FadeUSports for those listening. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel as well. Give us likes on there. We're really trying to promote the video content. It's one thing to listen to this audio, but it's another thing entirely to just be able to see Joe's face when Chris says something ridiculous. And I mean, you really can't get that experience anywhere else other than the YouTube. So check that out if you're looking for the video versions of the pod. But Dad's Week 4, the Westgate lines just came out about an hour before we recorded, and I'm counting 9 games at a field goal or less. So it is going to be a little bit tricky this week. We have a London game. We have some very popular teams in the primetime games. So let's see where the dads are looking in week 4. Chris Duke, lead us off.
Yeah, dads. There's a few lines that looks like. Oh, I guess it did get hit. I was wondering. I know. Wasn't Niners at 2.5 or 2, and now
It's opened at 2.5.
Is it down to minus? They made it
It's
1.5.
1.5. Yeah, it's 1.5 on our book too.
Yeah, there's a few of them that got shaded a little bit. Same with I thought. Well, maybe the sharps hit it. So Washington they're down to a 3. I don't know if I can't get Wentz again. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I might just stick with the winning recipe and go with. This line got hit too. I think it opened at 7 or 6.5. It's down to 5.5. Dead number, right, Joe? Home dog, Texans, Chargers are dead. We're loving our AFC South teams this year. Go Colts last week. Go Jags. So we'll see if the Texans can get it done here. I think Herbert's still beat up. Hopefully they can just, I can see the Chargers being up 10 or something like that and then maybe giving up garbage, or it's just a close game. Texans, like you said, Matt, you mentioned it last week. There's a few of these teams that are kind of scummy but scrappy, hoping they can be scrappy and cover that 5.5.
I feel like it's kind of a square narrative, though. Everybody knows Herbert's dead. Slater's out. Fucking Bosa's out for half the season now. They're like, oh, fuck. Chargers are dead. Why are they laying 5.5 on the road? Why don't we just take the home team? Even though they are a dog shit team, the Texans. But I don't know. It's befuddling to me for sure. But I don't know if that's a square narrative or what. I hate taking the home dog, but yeah, it's tough.
Looks like action is split, but the lines come down. So you got, I guess, Joe, you could send us what the splits are, but it looks like, obviously if the line comes down a point or two, typically early in the week, that's sharp money moving it, not the public hammering. So we'll see. But
56% of the bets, 57% of the money on Charger cock.
Joe brings up an interesting idea. At what point do the injuries become a fadeable narrative, right? And, the public likes to look at injuries at quarterback, wide receiver, running back, right? But what the public fails to look at is injuries on the offensive line, in the defensive line, in the secondary, the lesser known players by people who literally just play fantasy football. So people should know that Rashawn Slater is one of the best tackles in the NFL, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. He tore his fucking bicep. J.C. Jackson, the Chargers free agent corner they picked up, has only played in 1 game, so they're beat up in the secondary. Joey Bosa obviously is a big name. Chargers beat up on the D line. I mean, Joe brings up a good point. Everybody knows this, that the Chargers have all kinds of injuries all over the place. So at what point is that so out there that it becomes I don't know, maybe the number is factoring all of that in?
It has to be.
What do you guys think?
The NFL, these are the sharpest lines in all sports. Made by the books. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard to know which side would be right without, what's the public going to do? Would anybody guess? I think the public's more shaded towards taking the Texans because that's the narrative right now. Our fucking Chargers are dead. But you're betting on a team with no fucking wins, which also is a big problem.
Kmart, you got anything on this one? You leaning one way or another?
No, just a complete pass. I have no idea what's gonna be going on with the Chargers. Herbert, he's I forget what game that was, Thursday night or whatever, but we were texting in the group and sure looked like fractured ribs. That seems like something that's gonna last all season if they don't rest him. So he didn't look great last week, and I know the Jags defense looks new and improved and is doing very well right now, but how much was that at fault to Herbert and his injury? So he can overreact both ways, and I'm just gonna have to watch more of this Chargers team because I have no idea.
I just hope it gets smellier. I want that back up to like 6.5 or go way down even more. And then I'll take Texans at 3.5. That would be hot.
It's a good thing the Chargers have such a reliable team doctor that anytime like any kind of injection or pain injection is needed, that, there's zero way that gets screwed up. So
Right. Asked Tyrod Taylor and his fucking punctured lung.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I will say this, that Davis Mills has some pretty drastic home road splits early in his career. That offense was pretty lifeless in Denver, and they were okay in Chicago last week, but he does play much better at home for whatever that's worth. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to make the case that Houston has some kind of home field advantage, but it's a tricky one. Good luck. I knew you would be on it because it's 5, and anytime it's 5, Chris's dick gets hard. So,
except for the Indianapolis Colts last week, just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Little oversight there by I'm Cirked, I think. All right, I'm going to go next. And I'm going to go a little bit off brand, and I'm going to make this pick based on Square Bets Win 2. Because sometimes in a contest, you have to be willing to do something that you personally might not normally do. I would have never laid the Bengals as a road fave last week, but my contest partners wanted it. They said, I think that's a sheep play. I think it's going to win. And they were right. And everybody who took the Baltimore Ravens was right. Shout out Kmart and Neil. You guys stuck with that. So this is Square, but I'm going to do it because fuck the quarterback on the other side. The Washington Idiots gave up 9 sacks last week. 9 at home. They're going to Dallas, and they're going to play a defensive line that is among the league leaders in sacks. Washington
the league leader.
So Washington's center got hurt a couple weeks ago, and he's out for the year. And so they brought in their backup guard to play center, and now he's banged up, missing practice today. So I don't think having offensive line issues is good when you're going to Dallas to play Lawrence and Parsons. Washington's offensive line got pushed around week 2 in Detroit. Like I said, gave up 9 sacks to Philly, a very good defensive front last week. And if I'll fade Carson Wentz and lay 3 points, like that guy sucks. And there's a chance now, I think we've seen a few weeks of football, Washington could be one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the league. And you know what? Cooper Rush has proven over a few games now that he is at least competent. He is not turning the ball over. He'll be at home. I know we like division dogs, but as square as it sounds, give me the Cowboys to beat up Wentz. You know there's a silly turnover in there somewhere.
Some would say that Cooper Rush is outplaying Dak Prescott. If you listen to all the talking heads, shout out Skip fucking idiot Bayless.
And I don't even care about that. I don't care if Jerry's trying to create something or what. I just know the guy has not turned the ball over, and he has made that offense move the ball. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had this a ridiculous drop touchdown last week, so his stats could have been even better. And I'm very comfortable laying the 3 against Carson Wentz on the road. I mean, go take 8 more sacks, Carson. Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking for one of those, hey, is this free money? Maybe it is scenarios.
I want to know what Chris thinks, because Chris would never endorse this pick because Chris likes scum and disgusting teams. And I mean, everybody's going to be on down.
That was the one I told you. I saw it sitting at 3.5, and for it to be down to 3, it's unbelievable if they're taking Washington money. Because, like you said, as someone who accidentally put the Commanders in their picks last week, somehow,
you and me both, Dad.
Yeah, looking at the Wentz with 4th and 38 every other drive was just fantastic. But I don't know, man. Yeah, this does it is fucking disgusting. I don't know what you have to hold your nose for more, the square fave or the fucking road dog, because it's like, this could be like a fucking the Colts Chiefs, right? Where somehow some bullshit happens, like Kelsey drops the touchdown, right? Like Lamb drops it again. Next thing you know, Washington wins by a field goal or loses by 1 and they cover it. So, or they could roll 27-10 and it's the easiest fucking play, Matt. So it's hard. Like you said, there's how many 9 or 10 within a field goal. So it's like you got to be sharp.
Yeah, the line move on this one, I'm just looking at Westgate. I know it did get to 3.5 at one point, and that was actually earlier today. They actually had 3.5 minus 120. So they did move off that. They went to 3 even, and now they've settled at 3. So maybe there will be a little bit more. Maybe they'll go back to 3.5, and then some people that hate themselves are going to bet Washington and knock that back down to 3. So we'll see. Kyle, Neil, anybody got anything on Dallas, Washington? You guys got thoughts on that one?
I was right there with you with Dallas. Everything you said with that defensive line, that was the bet for me, predicated on that front. Cooper Rush gets enough done. Hate it for my season win total, but I'll make it back, I guess, and just betting on the Cowboys because all they do is cover, no matter what.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was a little scary because right? Isn't it a line that feels like it should be higher?
Yeah, seems a little too good to be true.
And it just makes me feel like you're missing. I'm missing something on that one because
wasn't it 3.5 2 days ago?
I think at one point this morning it was 3.5.
Yeah, I saw 3.5 when I was looking. I don't remember what day it was, and even at that number, I didn't really care much.
The majority of the money is on the Washington Idiots too, like 80% of the money, but like 20%.
I can't find a reason. I can't find a reason. Like someone explain to me what the case is for the Idiots.
Yeah, and then they brought the line down after 80% of the money's on them. So, yeah, maybe there's true line movement in there. I don't know. So, yeah, that's a funny one. If it's gonna make your contest, Matt.
I mean, I'd be okay with it. I think this is going to be a tough week. So, sometimes you got to put a square one in there and just hope that it's right.
100%.
So, okay, Joe, you're next at 9 and 6. Where are you guys looking?
Okay, so this one, Jared and I both agreed on. We sent like our top 3, and it just makes absolutely no sense to me. On Sunday, Arizona minus 2.5 on last Sunday. They're sitting right now, Arizona +1, and all the bets, all the money are on Arizona. Yet that line moves that way, makes absolutely no sense. But that's not even the biggest reason why we're betting it. The biggest reason why we're betting it, Panthers coach, that idiot, Matt Rule, as an NFL favorite, 3-10 ATS. And also, straight up in those games, 3-10. So he fucking can't win as a favorite. And it just, the line movement confused the living shit out of me. And then also look at Cliff Kingsbury, 19-9-2 as a dog, ATS. Screams Arizona. Again, might be square. I don't know. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Maybe this is one, again, Vegas is saying, hey, look, here's free money on an underdog here. But for me, the wrong team's favored. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be an Arizona play and on the money line on our personal accounts too, for sure.
I was going to say neither of these teams can win as a favorite. As a matter of fact, Arizona much better as a dog than a favorite. Now it's only one. I mean, it's essentially a pick 'em, but
this is probably our last opportunity to bet on Matt Rule and Baker Mayfield as a favorite in the NFL. What are the Panthers' next 3 games? They got Niners, Rams, Bucks. So they're gonna be 1 and 6. They're not gonna be favored against anybody probably the rest of the season. So there's a last chance to bet on or bet against them as a favorite is what I should have said. But yeah. That's the play right there. Arizona +1.5 or +1 in the contest. I think they made it.
Yeah, the look ahead on this was Cardinals -3.
Yeah, it makes, like I said, on Monday or Sunday night or Sunday morning, it was -2.5 Cardinals. Yeah, and now it's +1.5 +1.
It's probably because AJ Green's
weird.
Yeah.
out.
Right. I haven't seen a line move like this with this kind of like split in a while. It's so weird. And then 80% of the money, 80% of the bets on the Cardinals. Like what the fuck's going on here?
Feels like a pretty low volume game for the books would be my guess. I mean, 2 teams that people don't really want a part of. Arizona again kind of got handled pretty easily last week. I know they would lose by 8 in the final score, but they were kind of dominated in that game. And Carolina off a win. I mean, they probably celebrated like crazy. Maybe they pull a Jets, go back home and or stay at home and lay a total egg. Anybody else got something on this one? I know Christian McCaffrey missed practice today, so
shocker.
keep an eye on that. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, and
Kmart, what do you got?
Yeah,
Neil, you like this, don't you? You're on mute.
You're muted, Neil.
Sorry.
You're muted, Neil.
Thanks, Chris, for hopping in there. That was one, and I'm surprised to hear Joe say like the money and the bets, because I sort of liked it, because I thought to myself, who's walking up to a window to hammer Arizona right now? And like, you don't even have to lay a field goal to take Carolina. Like all this negative. I mean, they might be like thank goodness the Raiders exist for Arizona, because there may not be a team that people like to talk shit about more than the Arizona Cardinals right now, just with everything. But that's why I liked it for that reason, was like, no one's walking. I would be surprised if people are just gonna walk up and start hammering, Cardinals in this spot. But like I said, Matt, low. This is the game, one of those games this weekend that is not going to attract a whole lot of attention. But I do like the Cardinals in this one.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield as a favorite, 11 and 22 ATS. So
awful.
I mean, what the fuck? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So I'll just two shitty teams. What do? We take the points.
Baker Mayfield in general, I think it's after his rookie year is just horrendous against the spread. You put Matt Rule and Baker Mayfield together on the same sideline, and that's just a clown show waiting to happen. But they're off a win, so they got something right. Okay, Kmart, Neil, 8-7 off the 5-0, back over 500. You guys desperately needed that. You always have to be careful after a 5-0 week. You don't want to piss. So where are you guys looking? I don't know who wants to give the pick.
Neil, you go first.
All right. So I'm going to – and we talked about – we've kind of been going back and forth, and it kind of concerned me just the way it was going. But the fact that the Detroit Lions are now only laying 4 points at home against the Seattle Seahawks – almost concerned me. Like, it's one of those, like, we talked about last week, and Chris said that he, you love it when you're not, taking a dog and you're not even getting the full. Like, this would have meant I like Detroit, but I would have loved Detroit minus 6.5. The fact that it's 4 makes me think that I'm missing something, because it feels like one of those that should be higher. Like, Seattle is scum. And Detroit's 3-0 ATS. I think one of the 4 teams who are 3-0 ATS so far this season. But just playing good football. And they got a few injuries that they're dealing with. But if this was 6.5, I would have hammered Detroit minus 6.5. At 4, now that it's come down, it started at 6.5 and it's coming down. It actually makes me concerned that I'm missing something, because I can't imagine who's out there hammering Seahawks on the road, even though Chris is waving his hand. I don't know the stats. Chris might have it. Geno covers like a madman.
Everything.
Especially as a dog.
Yeah.
Which is probably a dog every fucking start.
All the
Except
time,
in
right?
San Francisco.
That was the one they didn't. But that was a terrible spot for them. I mean, yeah, Chris, you're the sewage person.
Like,
why is this line only 4?
Yeah. How can you back Seattle only getting 4 points against a Detroit Lion team?
I mean, the only thing I could say is, look at Falcons and Seahawks last week. They couldn't stop each other, and it ends up being I think it lands on 4. So, when these two teams that don't really play much defense, Geno, they looked great moving the ball. He's hitting guys, Metcalf, all his guys, and they're a play away. Riley and I were fucking sweating that, because they're a drive away from beating the Falcons. So I don't know. All I can say is, Neil, you and I kind of like the spot for the Vikings last week. Sure enough, that line gets hit. Boom. Sure enough, they barely squeak out a win. The Lions cover. I don't know. I think the public is going to overreact a little bit about what they've seen with the Lions the first few weeks. It's the NFL. I mean, would we be shocked if the Seahawks go and sneak out a win? I certainly wouldn't.
Detroit does have one of the worst defenses in football. I mean, and so does Seattle. So I think
it's the
I think
worst.
every
I think Detroit
it
is
could
the
be the
worst.
worst.
And
I
look,
know that
conversely, like what Neil said, who the fuck wants to go lay points with the Lions right now? I feel like that's not very fun to do.
Well, you haven't got many chances to do it, right? Like,
yeah, but that's
fair.
exactly to my point. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, you want to lay over a field goal with this fucking team?
With Goof.
Matt, remember we
Goof?
asked Ralph Michaels like how often the team covers when they go from like a 5 or 6 point
Yeah.
dog and then it flips to a 4 point. That's a 10-point swing. See
Yeah,
how
who did
often
we talk about that with between weeks 1 and 2? Wasn't it kind of similar where it was the Giants, right? It was the Giants week 1 is a 5.5 point dog. All of a sudden they're a 2.5 point favorite week 2. Now they ended up winning by a field goal and covering. So I don't know. Yeah, Seattle could move the ball against that Lions defense, and the Lions, we talked earlier about injuries to skill position guys. Swift is I don't think Swift is playing. They're saying they're going to hold him out through the bye.
Yeah.
And then St. Brown, I think there's some question there. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's disgusting. Seattle only getting 4. Kmart, where are you looking?
Man, probably the Donkeys +3 in Vegas. Just kind of another. It smells in the sense of I don't think the Raiders should be laying 3, so it's kind of like what? But I love the Donkeys defense. They're everything I thought they'd be and a little bit more. And just offensively, at this point, I'll take the square take. They're fucking due. Like, this offense is terrible. Although they somehow move the ball and then they don't score in the red zone apart from Sunday Night Football. But I think the Raiders are looking at an 0-4 start. So I think I'm all in on the Denver Broncos, and it's just really shitty that they keep falling into, whether it's for or against them, in my early season here.
It's a tough one. On one hand, it is absolutely disgusting. How is an 0-3 team favored? This is from Ralph Michaels. I actually sent this to Chris today. Raiders are 0-3 as a favorite. 35 teams since 1989 have been winless in game 4 and a favorite of 2 or more. They are 32.4% ATS.
Sounds like I got a winner.
Maybe. Chris, how much do you have to hate yourself to lay 3 with a winless Raiders team?
Yeah, it's weird. I think I saw a couple sharps on them, but it looks like it's the public on them too. Are they just kind of betting on this regression thing? Are they're still buying that the Broncos, they're just not loving what they've seen, squeaking out. The Broncos do have the lowest points per game to start, 14 per game to start. Yet they're 2-1. They could be 3-0 if they. I guess they could be 1-2 also. But yeah, I like Kmart. I mean, Kmart, like you said, Matt, your Ralph Michaels stat kind of backs his up, and it's kind of weird. And then boom, it's a road division dog. Hard to believe they're catching 3. They made it 3 in the contest.
It did.
Yeah, me and Jared both agreed on this one. This one's in our contest, but it's not. We're not betting on the fucking Broncos. We're betting on the Raiders. Taking the Raiders. Yeah, Raiders have covered 4 straight against the Broncos, and I love the dude. You think I want to fucking lay 3 points with a 0-3 team? Fuck no. I'd rather do. But I'm going to do what I don't want to do. And we both looked at it literally on Sunday. Text each other. I said we have to be on Raiders next week because they look like shit. They've blown 3 straight games. They're fucking due too, are they not? Yeah. And I don't know. I think this could be one that actually goes. Well, what's the total? That's probably a good question there. Because if the total is low, that'd be a fun
45.5.
Okay, that's 100. That's exactly the average NFL total. But everybody's on the under. I'd rather fucking fire the over. So I'll just do the opposite of what everybody wants to do and see what happens. But I think I told him this is me last time we have to fucking do Raiders next week, and we're doing it for sure. That was the other one we agreed on.
Yeah, that's a tough game. It's now here on the flip side of that. Here's teams starting the season 3-0 ATS since 2003 are 40% in week 4, and our 4 teams. Neil, you mentioned one of them was the Lions. The other 3 are the Dolphins, who play Thursday night, the Falcons, who are down to only getting 1.5 against those Browns, and then Chris, you mentioned the Texans earlier. They are also 3-0 ATS to start the season. So 40% in week 4 for 3-0 ATS teams so far. We're running a little long. Let's just quickly touch on the primetime games. This Dolphins narrative that their defense was on the field for 90 plays and they were on the field for over 40 minutes in their win over Buffalo is being recycled by everyone. Is there a chance this line is now too high and there's value on the Dolphins at 4?
I don't really have a take, dude. It's kind of I love that narrative. I'm not gonna lie, but everybody calling Cowherd, fucking every other person,
Everybody's on it. Yep,
everybody's on it. So I mean, all the money's on this on the fucking Bengals. I mean, people forget Joe Burrow is playing behind 5 cinder blocks. So I don't fucking understand why it's 4. I feel like it should be a little bit lower, but it's kind of a stay away. Probably let Den decide, but I mean, I'm more inclined to take Miami, I suppose, but it's a toss-up.
Anybody considering that for content? I was going to maybe do Cincy while it was 2.5, but then when I saw
our other 2 guys really want us to put in the Dolphins, but I'm not really there.
I actually texted this other group chat, these guys that kind of just got into betting. There's like 4 of them. And I texted them, I was like, hey, if you want a CLV trophy, fire the Bengals right now at 2.5. And look at that, it's at 4 now. So I fired it at 2.5 just because I was like, whatever. I'm gonna have action on this game no matter what. But we'll see what happens.
So the trend, as that's what we do. So the trend was since 2015, teams coming off an outright win as a dog, and our dogs on Thursday Night Football 0-12 straight up, 1-11 ATS.
Holy shit!
If Thursday Night Football is on the road, that one's 0-8. It's 0-8 straight up and 0-8 ATS.
Holy fuck!
Miami is backing into an 0-8 straight up 0-8 ATS spot going into Cincinnati.
That's crazy. And
someone's due.
Jeez. Now I know that the Thursday night, it has been very good to home teams, like historically since they started this. So that's not entirely surprising. The ATS is a little surprising because the narrative is always there. Oh, short week, traveling, all that stuff. So let's talk quickly about Sunday night. Florida's getting rocked right now, and the Bucs are evacuating. I think they're talking about moving that game to Minnesota and playing it on a neutral site. I feel like there's a big narrative out there that this has completely disrupted Tampa Bay. These guys are trying to evacuate their families. And, oh, by the way, Tampa Bay has looked like shit for a couple weeks now. And this feels like the whole world is going to be on the Chiefs.
The whole world is on the Chiefs.
I'm on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't looked like – I mean, their defense looks solid. Just offensively, they are exactly what I think most of us talked about on our division preview. It's not surprising.
Well, Chris, you may get to take Brady in a situation where no one wants him. How many times has that ever happened?
Very rarely. But
isn't Brady also shit when the sun goes down?
Prime time. You got every narrative you want. Pick one. Yeah, they're all there. It's low-hanging fruit, right, Chris?
Low-hanging bounce back spot for the Chiefs, right? Come on. Yeah, I don't know.
Both.
They made that line. Did they inflate it just a bit just because they felt or deflate it a bit because it's going to be on the neutral probably?
Maybe. People like to go that Brady primetime narrative. By the way, he's 1-0 this season in primetime already, so you can do whatever you want with that narrative. That's going to be one where it's going to be everybody's on the Chiefs and it's prime time. And I don't know. I wonder if it'll be like last week where, everybody in the galaxy was on the Niners last week. And we saw what happened. Monday night, speaking of the Niners, so everybody's on them Sunday night in Denver. They lose. Jimmy G runs out of the end zone. He pulls the Orlovsky. And so now no one's going to want them because they're playing the Super Bowl champs. And they're at home, and the contest made this 1.5. How has this one moved? This one has gone
money on the Niners too.
1.5 to 2.5, down to 1. So it's kind of ping-ponged back and forth, and right now it has settled as of Wednesday at 1.5. Chris, what do you think? Your Rams against the Niners on Monday night.
Niners all day, every day, no doubt. This one probably will be in the cock piece.
Now, Kmart, people outside of San Francisco know Trent Williams is good, but I don't know if people know how good he is. How big a problem is this that he's out?
Look at their last 2 drives on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Or maybe the old fucking game. Even when Trent Williams was in there, they were getting Jimmy G.
He hasn't been great this season, but he is a better run blocker because of things he can do athletically. But yeah, it's who knows? This is why they kept going after offensive linemen, because they knew they needed depth. So they really have no running backs. It's just silly. Are they going to run Debo into the ground where he has a leg injury? God forbid, because that's when their season is over. Mm-hmm. Is when Debo tears his ACL or breaks his ankle.
Tough game.
I like this one too. This kind of fits that. Chris and I were drinking like 2 years ago, and we're Sunday Night Football, Niners Rams, and we were like, hey, we're both on the Niners, 100%. It's gonna fucking cover. And guess what? The Niners won outright. The Niners have covered 4 of the last 5. They didn't cover in the NFC Championship, but they got half-point tickled. So take with that what you will. It is a Niners spot, but I don't know if it's going to make the contest for us.
Yeah. It is one where they have performed really, really well against the Rams in the regular season. Everybody knows that. Obviously, they don't win the NFC Championship game, but Niners as a favorite, no one wants in prime time. The prime time games are going to be really interesting. There's a lot of people that are going to be betting Chiefs, Rams in prime time. Pick the better team, pick the less injured team, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Okay. There's lots of other really interesting games. We didn't even talk about Eagles, Jags. That one is really, really interesting with both of those two teams making a lot of people money through the first few weeks. Bills, Ravens, no one talked about that. So really interesting week 4 card. Can't wait to see what the dads come in on. And Chris, why don't you get us out of here with this? What happens sometimes when you bet on poop?
You win 11-10 in the most disgusting Sunday night game in the history of Sunday night games.